The VA loan is the absolute best benefit that any of us have to offer, saving us thousands of dollars and being used over 28 million times. But there's one thing above all else that becomes a caveat. Why do sellers not like us? What's going on, motivators? My name is Chermak. I'm your VA loan advisor, and all I do is teach you all about using your VA loan. I'm licensed from New York to Cali, so anywhere you are, I am. I'm licensed to help you out to get you the info you need when you're looking to get your VA loan. So why not let one of your own handle the loan? Make sure you subscribe if you want the full sit rep from another vet just like yourself. So let's jump right into it. What is the big deal with VA loans and sellers being reluctant to accept our offers? But I'm going to need you to stay tuned to the last thing to find out what the biggest and most cumbersome of the three are. But let's dive right into it. Now, sellers out there are so concerned with all these myths, things that they've heard about, and at the bottom line, the end of the day, really what it comes down to is the fact that they've had a bad experience with the VA loan, or that they just don't know how the VA loan works. The problem is, loan officers and agents aren't completely well-versed in VA loans. On average, they will see 0 to 1 transaction in an entire year. Whereas you have someone like myself, whereas you have another agent who specializes in VA loans, or another loan officer who specializes in VA loans, they see this on the daily, every single day. It's about the same thing as that Marine who goes in to qualify on the rifle range once a year versus someone who's bona fide on the shooting teams, and this is all that they do, is they just know their rifle, they know their handgun like the inside and out, like the back of their hand. You see, that's what I am, is a specialist, not just some average Joe who just goes in there and does a VA loan once a year like the other guys. Now, the problem is that the VA loan is harder to close. But the thing is when you know the guidelines, it's actually a lot easier. It's a much more flexible option to getting the loan done. But the problem is that most loan advisors don't really know the guidelines like the back of their hand. They can't just quote it like they would quote a Marine Corps order or something like that. They have to go through, peruse guidelines, ask an underwriter, figure it all out. And so that's why they get this bad myth that VA loans are harder to close, because for them, who only do it once a year, it is harder to close. But for someone like myself or one of the people in my group, well, we close them all the time. That's all we do every single day. We're on the rifle range no matter what, getting it done. You feel me? Now, number 2, VA appraisals are a problem. That's what they say, that VA appraisals are a problem. When in actuality, it is so debased. I'm calling fake news on this one, because VA loans with their appraisals are actually the best thing out there. Because here's the thing, right? Now, VA loans, conventional loans, FHA loans, they all use the same appraisal process. So anyone who's going to evaluate a property for $500K on a conventional loan is going to get the same thing with a VA loan or an FHA loan, right? So it's not because you have VA that it's going to come in lower. In actuality, VA appraisers, they take an oath where they're obligated to make sure that they do everything within their power to make that loan come into fruition. They have to do everything to find the value. So they actually go above and beyond. So it's actually more likely that you'll get a better valuation with a VA appraisal versus a conventional or an FHA. And on top of that, let's say that the appraisal does come in low. Let's say you have a $500,000 house and the appraisal comes in for $475,000. Well, guess what? You actually have 2 times to dispute that appraisal. Once with something called Tidewater, and the second time is something called reconsideration of value. Now, with Tidewater, you're disputing the value directly with an appraiser. And with reconsideration of value, well, you're disputing with the VA themselves. So it gives you 2 times to dispute the VA loan and twice as many opportunities for that valuation to come in a positive format. On top of that, when you do a Tidewater and an ROV, well, last year you had a 79% success rate with everyone who disputed an appraisal. But guess what? Only 5% of the appraisals that were undervalued were actually disputed. Now, last but certainly not least, the reason why sellers don't like us and the whole caveat behind the VA loan, VA loans take longer to close. Well, they actually don't. Well, maybe they do a little bit, but let's break down those numbers. In 2023, the actual time frame that a conventional loan closed was 41 days, and the actual time on average that a VA loan closed was 43 days. So yeah, I guess I could appease the sellers and give them this one. It does take 2 whole days days longer to close, but really, in the grand scheme of things, is that a tremendous amount of time? Now let's uncover what this really is. Remember what I mentioned at the beginning of this video, how the fact that most VA loan officers don't know what they're doing, right? Well, it's the same case here. Because of that extra time it takes to figure out the guidelines and, oh no, we're doing something we haven't done in a year, a lot of times they struggle with that. And so it will take a little bit more time, but it's only 2 more days. So it's really not a significant difference in the grand scheme of things. Now, someone who's well-versed in VA, someone like myself, will obviously be able to get that average down to a much more reasonable time frame and much closer to that conventional time frame of 41 days and possibly even lower and even quicker. And a way to combat this is by getting something called a pre-commitment rather than just getting a pre-approval. But I cover what a pre-commitment is and the greatest part about it and everything you need to know in another video. So I want you to subscribe to my page. Make sure you check out that other video because that's not what this video is about. Now, what's the whole point to making this video? To show you that the VA loan is actually the best loan out there. And if you're struggling because you're hearing all of these myths out there that people are telling you about the VA loan or your offer is not getting accepted, what I need you to do is reach out to me so I can have a conversation with your agent, I can have a conversation with your listing agent to make sure that I get the point across that the VA loan is actually the best loan for you and to smash all these myths and illusions. I just got off the phone last week. I was on the line with someone from Colorado. They were making an offer. They actually got their offer accepted because of the fact that I jumped on a call with the listing agent and I spoke to him for 15 minutes on how the VA loan is actually a more superior loan to conventional and FHA loans. By the time I got off the call, he agreed to watch a bunch of my videos on YouTube and also wanted to keep my contact information if he ever gets another veteran client, he's going to use me because he doesn't want the same thing to happen to him that's happened in the past where he gets a loan officer who just does this part-time. He wants someone who does it every day on the daily. Well, that's all there is, folks. As you can see, VA loans are not harder to close. The appraisal process is not a problem and it doesn't take longer to close. Well, maybe 2 days if you're inexperienced. Now, if you found any of this content helpful, I want you to subscribe to my page, VA Loan Advisor, because all I do is teach you all about using your VA loan. And again, I'm licensed from New York to Cali. So if you ever want to have a one-on-one or a sit down with me, all you got to do is DM me. My contact info will be in the comments below. Let's go. Motivator out.